All right, it's January 7th, 2025, 7:32 PM. I call the meeting of the Town of Willington Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Members present, myself, Bob Shabbat, Doug Roberts, Becca Sinowski, Joe Hall, and Bill Vanel. Let's see, no applications for receipt tonight, no public hearings, no new business. Brings us to item F, unfinished business. Review of codification comments from general code.
So we went through a chunk of these and at the last meeting, we kind of agreed that I would go through and anything that were, the non-substantive stuff, a lot of it is just changing references, acknowledging changes required by statute, are sort of non-negotiables and aren't really changing any regulatory criteria. So I wanted to just go over a few that I flagged that I wanted to get your feedback on, or also make sure that we're not missing anything, just historically, because I don't have all the background, obviously. So the first one that I wanted to look at is 315-028. It's probably about halfway through the packet. They should be in order. So,
Here we go. Okay, 9. It's on the back of a page.
it should be double.
All right, got it.
315-28. So it's regarding indoor entertainment. It says the following use is listed, their comment is the following use is listed twice in 315-5.02 the R80 zone as both a special permit use and a special exception use. Is this correct? And so you'll see they've pulled the language there. And the reason I bring what seems like a simple question is special exception uses go to the ZBA. And so what this would mean is that essentially it would be going to the P&Z for special permit and then the ZBA for special exception, which certainly in my mind doesn't make any sense. The ZBA, it is okay for the ZBA to review a special exception uses. But it to me does not make any sense that they would need both. So I didn't know if anybody recalls.
Wouldn't a permit overrule an exception use anyway?
So the intent of a special exception is for certain uses, instead of you coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission, you go in lieu of that to ZBA. So like some towns, like Town I live in, special exception are home occupations are special exceptions. So ZBA, we do all special exceptions. I have never seen a town require both. It would usually be in lieu of it. You having trouble finding it?
No, you don't get it.
Okay. We think we double-sided because it's such a big package, but.
No, I get it.
The opposite, the front of that page is 315-27.
Yeah.
So I guess, what are the provisions in 315-11 that 23 say?
So those are those are like the special regulations section.
Yeah,
And so that's the other thing is that it's citing the same, it's not even citing different
yeah.
requirements. So
So are we saying that in a free zone with a special permit, that you can have entertainment indoors and accessory use? So,
we're saying that you can have indoor entertainment as an accessory use.
okay, in an R80 zone.
Right, accessory to some principal use that is conforming.
Okay, so why do we need a special exception then on top of it?
which is more restrictive
They are,
or more teeth to it, I guess would be my question.
Probably a permit.
yeah, I mean, usually it's, you go first and you do of the special permit. But I would argue that in every town, not just Willington, the ZBA is not necessarily equipped to perform the same level of review on an activity as this commission. And so asking them to basically conduct their own special permit review, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I can't think of any reason why you would want them to go to the ZBA.
And the exception would trigger ZBA, is that?
Right.
Why can't we just have a special permit for indoor, a
Yes,
special permit for outdoor?
yeah, so that is, what I think that they're suggesting is that, it may have been a holdover, I don't know if, because of the way that,
Do we do it for some conditional reasons, like if we didn't wanna provide a permit, we could provide a special exception for a trial
This
basis?
doesn't have anything to do with adult entertainment or anything, I don't believe.
I think, well, it could have been
Yeah.
live entertainment, like a wedding venue, or something like
Yeah.
that.
We could blow the second bullet away, right?
remove the exception. There's nothing that the ZBA can do through the special exception process that you can't do. So it's not like you're losing anything, but as it stands right now, they would have to get both.
Mm.
And the special exception review is not like a variance where they're looking at hardship, so the ZBA really, like, they're not gonna pull out the zoning regulations, okay, well, we're gonna review for all the special permit standards. So
Yeah, it doesn't seem to
um,
go.
to me, my read of it was that you would remove the exception. And
Yeah.
the old school sort of terminology, a lot of towns used special permit and special exception interchangeably. And so it, way back, you might see a set of regs that talk about a special exception, which would have been now a special permit, but I think it just needs to be removed. And it sounds like that's the general consensus. We're not changing any of the criteria, just saying you don't need to go with CBA. The next one, is 315-032. And I'm trying to think, so it says special permit, uses and use categories permitted subject to the issuance of a special permit by the Planning and Zoning Commission in accordance with Article 13 of these regulations. For any use or use type which is not defined in 315-5.04 as being allowable or prohibited, the commission may issue a special permit. And in accordance with Article 13, if such use is found to be in harmony with the DC zone and the POCD.
Design commercial.
Right, so there's comment is section 315-5.04D lists the special permit uses. In the design commercial DC zone, the use indoor entertainment is listed twice. See below is a revision needed, so we have indoor entertainment, indoor theaters, excluding drive-ins, however, total seating not to exceed 1,000. And then we have indoor entertainment as a principal use, subject to, so as I read that, the way we're categorizing it is we're treating something that doesn't exceed 1,000. Well, that doesn't make any sense, actually, because it says indoor entertainment, indoor theaters, excluding drive-in theaters, however, that total seating not to exceed 1,000. Which does not make sense.
Would that be like a school theater, like auditorium?
However, that total seating shall not exceed,
That's not on school property, like the school designs a playhouse or something.
yeah, but I mean, 1,000 is a lot.
So
I'm gonna see if I can just pull up the final language that we approved for that and. Oh, sorry, I read that as the South Willington. Not the DC zone, let me pull that one up.
Is that something ancient that was associated when they were talking about putting in the entertainment venue up where FedEx is now? probably thirty some years
I
ago.
would have been a kid, so I would.
When I came to town in 95, so that's before I got here.
That was the big
Yeah.
controversial thing.
It was roadway when I got here, it was already here, we're fed.
Right, and before roadway came in, they were, thinking of putting in a theater, outdoor theater, sort of like what they have down in, where the hell is it?
Oh, Willamette, that
No,
Shamu.
no, they still have it down in the southern part of the state, down by what the hell was it? I can't think of the name of it. But they have like, 1,500, people, 2,000 people, they have entertainers there.
I
And
did the Oakdale for years.
Oakdale, yeah. So that's what they wanted to put here,
Well,
but
it's a
they
while.
were talking like, 5,000 people.
So it got voted down.
And, oh, yeah, I mean, so,
Are we saying two different things here, though? Indoor entertainment and or theaters, excluding drive-in theaters. However, that total seating shall not exceed 1,000 to keep it, I guess, manageable, somebody thought.
I
Then
think so.
15, indoor entertainment is a principal use or as an accessory use, subject to the provisions.
Yeah, so I went back to an old section on the regs, theater, legitimate and or motion picture, excluding drive-in theaters, provided however that total seating shall not exceed 1,000.
So what's this 15?
It's like what they're doing down at the millworks now.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so, I mean, you gotta be careful what's going on.
I'm just trying to figure
But
out.
it
how
seems
indoor
like what they were
theater
trying to do is
and
limit the
drive-in is.
size.
Next one. Listed on this as on an earlier version. Permit uses in DC zone, indoor entertainment as a principal use or as an accessory use, subject to the provisions of 1123.
But design commercial, I mean, that's not what the millworks is.
The millworks is South Willington Village zone,
Right.
indoor entertainment
So I
as a
mean,
principal.
I'm thinking about design commercial. The parcel that comes to mind is the parcel that's, northeast of FedEx now, that 300-acre parcel. That's the one that comes to mind right now, that I know is design commercial,
That's the Ruby Associates project.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, so here's my thinking. I think we eliminate 14. I don't think it's needed.
What about the shall not exceed 1,000?
I think we just eliminate all of 14 because it's a special permit, which means you can control the size based upon the special permit. I don't think anybody's getting anything with 1,000 seats. I don't see that as, I don't know how you put that on well and septic at this point. But
1,000 seats isn't that many.
I mean,
Most high schools only have
a couple hundred.
600 to 800.
Even, yeah, I mean, but so the old regs had 14 listed in the sort of list of permitted uses, and then it had a sort of a separate piece.
Nobody's gonna make some venue, you can't put 1,000 people in, where they wouldn't even pay.
No,
But even still, the only difference is, I mean, in my mind, a theater is indoor entertainment. So if I'm a theater and I would have come in under 14, I can still come in under 15. They're both by special permit. Which means if you didn't want to approve 1,000 seat theater, you wouldn't have to.
Well, we'd have a public hearing
It would,
anyway.
right, it would be a special
We get-
permit.
We get a lot of like feedback on
Right.
something that substantial is coming.
And you're talking about a building that is, I mean, yeah, it's a substantial building to be able to have 1,000 seats in a theater.
Like Jorgensen size?
I don't know how big that is.
Yeah,
Jorgensen's around 1,000.
yeah, I think so.
So then you're talking at 300 to 400 parking spaces?
Yeah.
So that needs Connecticut Siding Council, State Traffic Commission approval, so it'd be more than 200. So I think we can eliminate 14, leave the language on 15,
I'm okay with that.
and it's still a special permit.
Yeah,
We would never really give anything up that,
No.
isn't gonna get a lot of scrutiny anyway.
Right.
no,
And I don't think we're ever gonna see it, frankly.
I
Not
don't
with
see
that-
how
that
it would be
scale.
fiscally, you'd have to build a pretty big venue if you wanna make
Never say
money.
never.
Yeah.
Never say.
Yeah.
Well, they're demolishing theaters and other movie theaters and all those types of things. They're not really, I haven't heard of anyone though.
You'd more likely get a drive-in theater than you.
Right. With no seats, and that would be outdoors, so that wouldn't qualify under that.
Driving theaters, the few that are left, is like a kind of a novelty.
that's what keeps them going, I think.
They
Um,
were everywhere. There's still a lot of them, even when I was a kid, and they all closed.
Yeah.
We still had operating one in Bridgeport, there was one in Milford.
So the next one that wanted to look at is just on the next page. It's 315-33. It starts kind of at the bottom, it goes to the next one. It says permitted accessory uses and structures. Accessory uses and structures are permitted in accordance with the list below, subject to any other provisions of these regulations. See specifically Article 11 and Article 7. Their comment is in this section, design community residential zone, subsection A4 provides that, quote, accessory uses and structures are permitted in accordance with the list below, but no accessory uses are actually listed. Is material missing or should none be inserted? Subsection D of this section. So then it goes to subsection D, which talks about accessory uses, buildings and structures. See sale of alcoholic liquors in accordance with. So it seems like there was a list missing. And I went back through at least, I went back one set of regs and I didn't see anything there. So I mean, we could go back further and see.
I think we should go back further and make sure there's not a list that got omitted. And
Okay,
that doesn't make any sense that it wouldn't be under there. It probably just says it was getting revamped. They got dropped. Then there's gotta be a specific list that, you have access to like years back.
yeah, we've cobbled some old
Alright.
versions together. So we should be able to see what, I'm just looking at the one that I have open. Yeah, accessory uses and structures are permitted in accordance with the list below, subject to any other provisions in these regulations. And then it just goes right into the next section, which is,
What years regs are you looking at?
I'm looking at, it would have been going back to like my time, so we're
Go
going
back to like 07, I think that's the regs when I started. It was like an older set, like
All right. Next one that I was scratching my head on is 2 pages down, 315-10.60. So that would be, question 315-47. That's the section, sorry.
What was that again?
Oh, wait, so it starts at the bottom of a page and
Yeah.
goes over to the back.
It says, submit a statement certified by a Connecticut registered land surveyor or engineer, setting forth the results of the following calculation. Their comment is that the section refers to the following calculation, but the actual calculation is not included. The components of the calculation are provided, but the manner in which these components are combined, the calculation formula is not shown. So then they've included sort of the components that are there. We have submit a statement certified setting forth then it just says where, and then it lists the variables, but it doesn't actually explain how to perform the calculation.
Yes.
The open space subdivision,
Okay, so we need the, whatever calculation you would use for,
yeah.
I think this is another case where it got omitted, and it was getting reprinted or something.
Yeah, in order to determine the maximum number of lots within the proposal, the applicant shall either, one, submit a statement certified by a Connecticut registered land surveyor engineer, setting forth the results of the following calculation, and then it gives the variables, or submit a conventional subdivision plan showing, traditional open space.
so that just needs to be put in the formula, so that,
Is there a general formula that someone would use, or is it, do you think it's something the town came up with?
no, it's gotta be a general formula.
They're saying that you need to yeah, N is the number of lots, TL is the total area.
How do you put them together for whatever they're trying to calculate?
Well, wasn't that meant to, it was an open space subdivision?
That's what it's for, they have to show like they
It
do.
has its own guidelines,
Yes.
the subdivision regulations, so it's gotta be in there.
Yeah, I mean,
It's probably this, it's probably TL minus UBA or NLS equals N.
what do you,
I just,
oh, you just wrote it, you were pointing, I'm like.
Yeah.
You wrote it,
because you're looking for the number of lots, right?
what did you
So
write
it's
down?
probably TL, total area of parcel, minus UBA, unbuildable area, divided by normal lot size, square feet, NLS,
Equals
N.
number of lots.
Equals N.
That math sounds good.
I'll verify, they reviewed the subdivision regulations as part of this, so if it was in there,
100%.
I think they would have grabbed it.
Yeah, you're right, and it couldn't work any other way, what you're describing.
Yeah,
Since I'll be in an old set of regs, I'll
Yeah.
check Doug's map. But, okay. The next one is the one just below it, 48. It says submit a conventional subdivision plan using the normal lot size, which will be reviewed by the commission without the application of this Article 10, including the depiction of the maximum required open space of 15%. Set forth in such and such subdivision regulations, such conventional plan need not contain all information, et cetera, et cetera. So their comment is that this section refers to the maximum required open space of 15% set forth in the subdivision regulations. But that section of the regulations refers to a minimum of 20%. So we have conflicting language for the minimum necessary set aside.
Wasn't it when they went to the option of an open space subdivision? I can remember the attorney saying something about 20 or 22%. With the idea that they were gonna be able to build houses closer on smaller lots.
Right. Yeah, so the idea is you get the same yield, but you build them together on smaller lots, you have a smaller footprint.
Right, and there was that 20 or 22% that was entering into that at that time for an open space subdivision.
So this refers to the maximum required open space. So the subdivision regulations are what are calling for 20. The zoning regulation is what references the 15. Right, so it's referencing 15, saying do this in accordance with the subdivision regulations. When you go to the subdivision regulations, they say 20.
20, yeah.
So,
Change it to 20, is
the,
that the recommendation?
well, so my instinct is to
Cost
lean,
you a house or two.
well, my instinct is to lean in the less restrictive side only because we're not seeing these types of developments. However, when you read the following paragraph, they list 20% multiple times. I don't think they're making multiple errors of the 20%, right?
No,
So it's, if it's a Scrivener's error, then to me, it's more likely that they adjusted to the 20%. And then didn't flip it in this section, but it's just, again, it's just one of those things.
That's for a conventional subdivision.
Right, I mean, 20% to me seems kind of high, but,
for a conventional it is, but for an open space subdivision, it isn't,
yeah,
because they're compensated for the open space by smaller lot sizes.
right, so this would be. The open space subdivisions, it's 40%. Conventional, it's 20.
40 sounds awfully high.
If that's what it says lower in the, open space subdivision shall require the dedication as open space of an area which is at a minimum equal in size to the aggregate difference between the normal lot size and the minimum lot area set forth in the zoning regulations applicable to each lot, but in no event less than 40% of the subdivision. That is an awful lot. But I think that feeling like it's more likely that they didn't update the 15. But yeah, I obviously wasn't here at the time.
I wasn't on the board, but I can remember with the Conservation Commission coming in and pushing for open space subdivisions.
Mhm.
And it seemed like it was like,
We haven't even built one.
no, we haven't. It was like
Not many have been built, period.
22%. And the closest they came to trying out what it would look like was they did both of them as a layout on the Knowlton property. I remember that happening.
I remember that. I was here for all that. Yeah.
Just so everybody could get an idea of what the difference was, the two different building styles or approaches. So. Well, until there's, there's one or two pieces of large pieces of property on the market, but for the price of building right now. I don't think anything's gonna happen soon, but the open space subdivision is certainly something we wanna have on the books and have it running.
Yeah.
Can you check with, land use attorney or such and see what the norm is now?
For conventional, it's, I think, probably all across the board. Just because most towns would prefer the fee anyway. Right, most towns prefer the fee because they can buy land that's valuable rather than saying, okay, give us this little corner in the back of your property, which is pointless.
Right, yeah.
So, I guess thinking in that regard, if you're gonna be getting a fee in lieu, going to 20 means you're getting more of a fee. But like I said, because it's listed in multiple sections, it feels like it's more likely that the 15 didn't get changed.
Well, we'll put the recommendation,
Or the 15
Tell the
is what
company
went
to redo
along with the
this.
standard subdivision,
The what? The
the
15,
15% open space.
which is what they're talking about. So if that's the case, then we would swap it out and just go to the 15. I think it's not a huge issue either way, just because we're not getting so many properties and with small developments, it's not that much land, right? 5% if you've got a huge development is a big thing, but.
Well, that, the house that was built, down by the transfer station. So the fee in lieu of was like $2,200 or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. But there is no fee for that because that was, family transfer. So they exempted that.
Right, yeah, but, I mean, that's the amount that we'd be
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, but if you had 10 lots, 22 per lot,
Oh, right.
$2,200 per lot. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna change the world either way, so what's your preference?
But when you're talking open space, why would you set, that's like a good thing for the town, so why would you set the maximum at 15? Rather than say the minimum required is of open space is 20%.
Well, that's, right, and so,
So basically, they're saying change the 15 to the minimum open space of 20.
yeah, so that's the other sort of, I guess, piece of the rub, is that the first section says the maximum,
It doesn't make
It's
any
15.
sense.
and then the bottom says you gotta give us at least 20.
Yeah,
So their recommendation is to change it to the maximum required open space of 15 should be the minimum,
right.
is
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, I would, yeah,
That's fine.
I would do that.
Think there was one more, okay. Next one is, 315-58. And it requires that a report or letter from the Federal Aviation Administration that the proposed tower complies with all airport safety requirements, or airport paths near you or on a flight path, et cetera. So it says, their comment is, does the bracketed statement need to be replaced with text applicable to Willington? So if their recommendation is it would be any airports near you, or that you are on a flight path, e.g. Providence, rather than, so that's what they wanna replace it to. Their suggestion is revised to read for any airport if the site is near an airport or in the flight path of an airport. So my comment on this one is you can't demand an applicant get a report from the FAA, because it's the FAA's decision as to whether or not they're gonna issue the report.
Mhm.
So I think option one is remove it, because how an applicant is gonna be able to submit something to you that says the FAA gave me a report, I don't know, but qualifying a requirement on another agency is like saying, you gotta give us DOT approval before we'll approve it, you can't tie them together. So we could change the language to reflect that they can demonstrate that they have made the FAA aware of the request, or just remove it entirely. As part of a bigger picture, I am trying to determine, I think this whole wireless telecommunications facilities section can come out in its entirety. Because anything that is a public wireless telecommunication tower is
We don't have
subject.
any say in it.
Right.
FTC is, yeah.
So I think it all can come out, but with a lot of this 5G small cell node stuff, there's some weird things that don't necessarily qualify for the siting council. So I'm not done looking into that yet, but
Revise it for now, and just put the general statement in there.
the statement that they're
For the
suggesting.
airport At the site, yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah,
Get you there, and it's not confusing.
Oh, I know.
Did you ever figure out the collector road, the arterial collector local, the road thing?
I didn't look through the
That was
rest.
the next one. I just saw that wording
The next one,
right after that, the
oh,
60. The minor local arterial collector principal state road. I just saw the wording. I wasn't sure.
I think when I looked at it, that one I didn't. Yeah, so based on what I looked at, I agreed with their recommendation to revise to read a street classified as a principal state route or arterial collector local, because that aligns with the state language for how they classify roads. Which is what's causing us all the grief with the South Willington sidewalks. Okay, so the rest were either very straightforward or they're scrivener errors, and
We don't have to make a motion or anything.
No, so what will happen is this will all come back to you in the
Okay.
form of we'll have to do this as a text amendment. It'll all sort of be outlined.
All right. All right, bring this to item G, approval of minutes from December 3rd, 2024. Right.
In that last page. Let's stay there. Lost my place.
Motion to approve the
Meeting minutes of December 3rd, 2024.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So minutes. Thank you. All right, so the minutes are approved. No correspondence tonight, item I, public participation for items not listed on the agenda, so I don't see any public. What's one?
That's, I think that's, Evelyn's phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So it looks like we don't have any. Item J, staff report discussion. Number 1, 2025 land use seminar, Saturday, 3/22, 9 AM to 4:30.
So yeah, if you look on the agenda, if you go, I linked that. So if you click on that link on the agenda online or on the web viewer, it'll take you to the actual information about it if anybody was interested. So
That's not our required training though, that you're.
Well, the required training is just by the term. This is the one that used to happen at Wesleyan. So if anybody was interested, I said I was gonna get the link, so I wanted to just have it there so people can see it. Nothing different we talked about last meeting.
Okay, then we're gonna have an executive session for CGS 1-200. 26B pertaining to Harris United versus Town of Willington.
Yep. So we make a motion to go in and,
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we go into executive session at 8:09 PM.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
okay, so I'm gonna stop the record.
We're gonna come out of executive session at 8:21 PM.
Hey, quick question. On the PV area next to the truck stop, you know, where the pads are. I brought this up before, but we asked them to take those trees down and that mound of dirt when you're getting off the ramp. So all the PVs are installed now. Are they gonna go back and do that, or is it just a complete oversight?
No, so
Or they need DOT?
right, when we talked about that with them, they said that that would be their preference and that they were gonna work to get as much of that through DOT, but that's all in the right of way.
Yeah.
So it's all
DOT
DOT.
has to,
So they had gotten some approval to do some clearing for, line of sight,
yeah,
but, I don't know how much approval they got to take down the rest of it.
okay,
So they had tried to get that, and I think Pete said that he was gonna try to use the commission's sort of request. Like, here's in the minutes, they even asked for us to take it down, can we? So I haven't talked with them actually in a bit to know if they got anywhere with the request, but they wanted to remove as much as possible. But they were at the mercy of DOT. They're pretty close to the property on that side.
All right, any questions? Anyone online have any questions?
Except we lost Joe, so it's just Bill.
Bill's hands up, isn't it?
No, that's just my cursor, sorry.
Okay, all right.
Oh, okay, that's what I was
It would be
looking.
yellow, it would be yellow,
Yeah.
yeah, she had it up. Okay, so, in this case, it's 8:23 PM, meeting adjourned.